I like the little loading bar there as well. I will just suddenly note that. And it's a quite nice little sort of on-off switch there at the bottom. I've designed a really nice little bat tablet there, actually. Really nice little bat tablet. Batman, if you want this bat tablet, do feel free to send an email to me. My email is perfect.stranger@catmail.net. But I really like that. It's subtle, but nice. Again, it's what I was saying about some of those backgrounds. It's nice to just have a bit of motion. I think that proximity scanner sweeps as well, yeah. And you can see a little boop. And I mean, someone enjoyed that joke, but yeah, I think it was the best I could fucking do at the time. And at the end of the day, and I'll discuss this slightly more later on as well, sometimes when my brain just goes, you should do that, and then it goes, no, that's silly and ridiculous and makes no sense. And then my brain goes, I really should try and think of something better. How's that thinking of something better going, oh, not well at all. So do you want to use my joke? Oh. Did I ever tell you about the worm that turned? Fine. Essentially desperation, I think, is the issue. It's insane, but there you go. That was the ending of the Batman special. So congratulations. I don't know if anybody... I know someone who definitely doesn't remember it. As I say, not 5 minutes before I started this commentary, I was discussing that little section and how it was meant to be this sort of interactive video deal that was a very popular thing at the time. As I say, I think they've dismantled all the functionality of it, and whereas some people did it really well for mobile phones looking in the description with links, I didn't. So it's all just a broken mess nowadays, but hey. Sorry, were you describing yourself or the video? The video, but, apt description. Let's carry on, see what the next intro is. Okay, so as I say, I don't know, jeez, you've got like 2 seconds in and you've already fucking started chatting. Fuck's sake, mate, fuck's sake. Look, if you don't want the chat, you watch the base version. That's why it was there. Why we've done both. Anyway, crucial thing, as I mentioned earlier, those Dragon Half Hour were done over a series of years. I'm going to say years. I think it's plural. So you saw there, we started with frame-by-frame Camtasia CorelDRAW method into Flash method for the Batman one, certainly. This is now back to Camtasia and CorelDRAW method. But I think crucially, instead of the, that's a weird image, isn't it? That's going to be burnt into your minds. The old worm Joker. I think I did several others as well. I can't remember explicitly. I think I might have done Indiana Jones worm, Lara Croft worm, which I think disturbed a lot of people because worms shouldn't have boobs. Worms should not have boobs. And I think because I knew someone who liked sort of the X Factory type thing, so I think there was a Simon Cowell worm as well, but don't 100% quote me on that. But I did do a massive great picture with all these worms in a sort of worm arena. But anyway, it was quite amusing, and then I just repurposed it for this because I wanted an ending. I wanted like a sort of, okay, he's carrying on. He's not just going to stop crime fighting at the end of the night. There's a sort of follow-up. I suppose, arguably, I think back then I might have actually considered the notion that, I tell you what, we'll leave it on a cliffhanger. I can explore that cliffhanger if I do another Batman special. Now, I think 2 things. I don't think I've ever done another Batman special, and I didn't follow it up because I didn't do a Batman special. Anyway, so back to frame-by-frame CorelDRAW Camtasia method, but this one, rather than the Crusaders free frames, this one features a lot more frames, I believe, so it does look a lot well, I was going to say a lot smoother. It is still smoother, but it's not a huge volume of frames. But the rewind concept, I really liked. I enjoyed that rewind concept quite a lot. And then sort of just, I don't think I could be bothered to truly go through the dagger shifting again. This, I don't know if this is, I assume chronologically this was probably the first time I did this method. But you'll see this idea floated a couple of more times down the way. So there's a little bit more. Yeah, you see, I genuinely actually, that's quite nice to view. Because you can see, okay, that, of course, is based on where I did the Batman thing. So this is all probably around about the same time as I was developing the Batman stuff. Or this would be prior to the Batman stuff, I think. Because, again, this is going to be Camtasia CorelDRAW frame-by-frame style. So, you can see there the point is shifting, and all I did was make a frame with a point there, make a frame with a point there. It's basic animation principles. Whereas Flash, you can go between this frame and this frame, I would like you to move like that. And then between this frame and this frame, I'd like you to move like that. And the machine does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. But this sort of method of using for lack of a better term, I'll say style of vector drawing flat colour face on top of a real photo body, I used several times over the course of these intros. You'll see Call of Duty later, and we did see Batman. And then, okay, that is definitely the face of a man who's about to get shot. I just angled the eyes slightly and made it really shit, if anything. But what I'm quite pleased at there is not only have you got that sort of blood transition, but here, I do suspect that first one, I suspect I just reused the Bond one. I can't say that with absolute certainty, but I do suspect, I think I probably copied and pasted. We got to find it again. There we go. I suspect I just copied and pasted it and resized it for the Hitman intro, unless I did genuinely remake it, but I don't suspect that's true. But one thing I quite like, and this is what's quite nice, is there is a sort of marked improvement of technique over the time. You saw with the other one, I just faded it away, whereas this one, I actually went to the effort. You can see it sort of flattening out. It is still just fading, but the fact that I made the effort to add those extra frames, I'm quite pleased by that. It meant I was sort of getting better and trying harder. I'm still a little try hard, admittedly, but, it's nice to see it. And then this technique, it's a bit like stock transition-y, but I genuinely, I don't know if I'd do the same nowadays, but I like the fact that I justified the turn with the shots. The first time I saw that again after many years of having not seen it, I was actually sort of, I slightly cringed at the use of the just cube rotate, but then I did sort of go, it pleases me that I justified it turning and had the little shots as extra. But again, they run a very similar format, which is official logo, J-Dragon manipulated logo. And that's the general format of all of these intros, is putting my name into the game world in some fashion. And again, as I say, the opening sequence is designed to get you prepped and excited for what's to come. And and give you an idea of what's to come as well. So the idea being, here's Hitman. Are you excited with J-Dragon 56? Oh, not really. Anyway, this one again, using that same real body, my head method. You can see here very janky movements because again, it's a lot of frames. It's a lot of exported images, but this is again frame by frame. Very traditional classic. And then I suppose I'll tell you what. Enough time to sink a battleship. I'm moderately pleased with that because, of course, I wasn't as angry as I mean, I know how to channel my own anger, I suppose, but it's quite nice. Yeah. AR5EHOL3 and then a load of X's and then a number, because that's the format of stupid people. I say that. Your username is JDragon56. That's your initial. You like dragons. And the number 56, because every other fucker with the initial J likes dragons and has used that as well. So you can hardly critique other people's usernames, can you? No, I can't. I shouldn't be critiquing them. I was, arsehole. I was quite pleased by that. It was mildly amusing. One crucial thing to point out is the music there. For those of you who don't recognise it, that is Miracle of Sounds, I Suck at Call of Duty. And I probably shouldn't still be using it, but nonetheless, back in the day, when I first put this intro together, I did I wrote him a little YouTube note saying, do you mind if I use your music there? And he said, no, just put a credit in the description, which slightly guilty of frequently forgetting, unfortunately, but I did always try to remember. Just every now and again, it was like, okay, and that's uploaded, sorted. And then I'd walk away and forget the whole, I'm supposed to put it in there. So I do highly recommend, if you've never listened to Miracle of Sound, I highly recommend listening to Miracle of Sound's work. He is fucking fantastic at making music, both his own music and his, well, okay, sorry, that's a slight mistake there. All of it's his own music, but a lot of his music is based on video games, and that is some great stuff. But his sort of unique, off of his own brain type music, so not based on anything specific, is fantastic as well. I particularly like his Pirate Queen one. If you ever have a chance, look up. Hopefully Miracle of Sound and Pirate Queen might be enough to get there. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name. It's a full Irish wording name, and he goes full Irish in the song as well. It's fantastic. But this is his Call of Duty music. I suck, you suck, I suck at Call of Duty. It was perfect for me because I very much do. So I used it in this intro. As I say, I did originally get permission. I was very lacking the sort of suitable crediting. So hopefully, hello, credit. You do know shouting the word credit, that's not really how crediting people works, is it? No, I don't think it is. Shit. Anyway, so I did this, and what's quite nice is later on we'll see the evolution of this Call of Duty intro, and it's genuinely pleasing. So do note, this is very much meant to be sort of like a almost bolt action sniper rifle, because it was easier in the frames. It's a lot easier to do the frames based on using a very limited array of bullets. And it was sort of based on real life, because one of the things I have said a lot when playing Call of Duty was exactly that. It was a quote ripped from exactly what I tend to do, which is shout, I should have sunk your battleship, you fucker, why aren't you dead? Because I was terrible at it was, the whole intro is based on exactly the sort of thing I do in Call of Duty. I shoot a shit ton of bullets, miss every single one of them, and lo and behold, get angry at the fact that I missed every single shot because I thought I didn't miss every single shot. Because, I'm good at this. It's pure denial, I'm sure. And then, of course, we have Trine, which I really don't like this intro. It's so like, I mean, okay, for starters, okay, we could argue that this line here is meant to be like a surface, a shelf, a level line or something. Why? Wait, or am I wrong? No, yeah. Why does the grappling hook go over the line? But the letter goes under the line. Is it because you forgot to do the appropriate layers? Yeah, I think it is. So that's so shoddy. But I mean, I it served a purpose, but it is shockingly terrible. So the idea being, the thief takes the jewel eye, the magician brings in a plank. Oh dear, oh no, and then, but that's not a. Do you know what? The physics of that irritates me as well. Because, wait, that's still at the point of it dropping. If that's not, engineers could probably do a better job of explaining this, but if that's been pushed to the point where the weight that side outweighs that side so that it would turn, which is what I established the idea was, just pushing it back to exactly the same point would not help. There's a lot wrong with this intro. Nothing wrong with the game Trine. That's a fantastic game, but a lot wrong with this intro. Very, very lazy, I think, there. But I suppose, again, inclinations and efforts go up and up and up. So, here is the first ever major thing me and Malice did, because naturally, the moment we did some co-op stuff, I wanted a new intro, and so I had to come up with a new intro. And the concept and principle of this I quite liked, as you'll see when I do the improved version a little later on. So again, you can see, because I will explain bits and pieces here. There we go. We'll drop it back a couple of frames. Not that far. Not that. No, you've gone too. There we go. So, key things. The old, I believe, heptagram. I'm sure someone will correct me. Septagram. 7-pointed star. That is very much Malescalabur's iconography that he's chosen. And of course, combining that with my iconography. His favourite colour is purple. Not necessarily that shade, but nonetheless, it was a nice shade of purple that I chose on the intro. I will just state this. This is all my doing. There was no input from Mr. Calabar. Whether you take that as a positive or negative, I don't know. But then I put his little emblem on my hat as well, just to symbolise a unified front. But again, you can see sort of, okay, let's play it and I'll state it. So there's a lot more than the Crusader one, but nonetheless, frame. So you can see I did it in much smaller increments because there's a lot of frames here. But this again, CorelDRAW made the frames, exported each frame, export. Camtasia, pin them all together at an appropriate speed, and then just used transitions to get into different frames to make them seem a little fancier. Now this is an interesting one. So this is game footage, obviously. But what I didn't realise until I was doing this review of intros is how similar this is to the later Saints Row 3 intro. I always knew when I did Saints Row 3 that the spray can was meant to be referencing this original intro. But then I've suddenly realised, oh shit, the driving and jumping into oblivion, I never really... I'm sure past me when I built that Saints Row 3 intro realised it, but watching it back was like this sudden revelation of, oh shit, I didn't know they were that similar. And I feel like I must have at some point. It's ridiculous to think I didn't. This is actually quite a nice one. I mean, it's a classic sort of, the concept's nice, the execution could do with working on a better, again, frame by frame in Corel and Camtasia is not the greatest way of doing these things. But the fundamental idea, I don't know why Indiana Jones plays there. We're just going to try and speed through some of these now because I've been chatting far too long. This... I'm just going to speed through these ones. You've just paused it and you said this. I know, but it's worth mentioning because we've just hit... Now, there's a slight time anomaly. And I'll try and explain that. Oh, I keep saying I'll try and explain it later. Chances are I'll fucking forget. But this is kind of an evolution point again, because this is Flash. And you can see how much better the motion is. Not necessarily the art, because the art is still all CorelDRAW. So this is... When I started using Illustrator, as I mentioned earlier, I didn't like the way the Bezier curve pen tool functioned. I was much more comfortable in CorelDRAW. The only problem is getting it from CorelDRAW to Flash is a bit cack-handed, because what I had to do was, fortunately, CorelDRAW allows you to save it out as an Illustrator file, and then you can take the Illustrator file and put it in the Flash file a lot easier than you can just take it from CorelDRAW to Flash in one foul swoop. So that's what I was primarily doing. So that all of these are originally crafted in, all the little bits that move have been crafted in the old CorelDRAW. So again, point, curve, add this, add that, add a little bit of texturing there, etc, etc, etc. And then all the motion is done in Flash. And the motion just looks so much better because that's a really smooth... I couldn't have done that frame by frame as smooth as that. So it was a revelation, because this was back when mostly sort of first, second-ish year of university was when Flash really became a thing for me. It was the first time I've ever used Flash. It was a revelation in my intros, and you could sort of see again that I would never have gotten that as smooth a transition between colours as a frame-by-frame thing. That is all sort of Flash calculating that. It's the same principle as the Video Copilot colour vibrance shift. You set a keyframe as this colour, You then set another keyframe as the other colour, and the machine goes, okay, so we'll just skim through the colour palette until I get to that point. I'll skim back to and so you get this really smooth orange to blue transition. So, and now basically these are all Flash, I think. There is, as I say, an anomaly we'll deal with when it comes up, I think. We'll try and explain that, but these are all Flash-based stuff. And I absolutely adore this intro. If I was to do it nowadays, one of the crucial things is I'd make those ripples move, because I did find in After Effects there is a ripple technique, and you can get them to be motion. Do you know what? That is not supposed to be slow-mo. That is too many diamonds for Flash. Or too many gemstones, I suppose. But yeah, it was... Flash basically goes... Flash is kind of here going, I'm alright, it's fine. Woman, fine. Gun, no problem. Bang, little muzzle flash with the diamond, fine, I'm happy with that. Car, it's alright, yeah. I'm doing well here, I'm Flash. I must admit, it irritates me the fact that the lines are a bit dodgy, but and then it was like, diamond! Oh, diamonds! Fuck! Oh, why is there so many diamonds? Oh, fucking shit, man, I can't handle the diamonds. Oh, could someone... And they've left, marvellous. So I swear originally it might just be this player, it might be the fact, I suppose to a certain extent it might be the fact that originally this is probably a 720 aspect and now it's playing at a 1080 and being rendered in, and again it's probably to a certain extent to do with rendering it out of Flash, then rendering it in Premiere as an MP4, and then I put the MP4 in Premiere again for this video, and then rendered it out again, so that's a render on top of a render on top of a render, and every time you render it, it gets a little bit less decent quality, but you get a lot of artifacting around that line.